Good afternoon. My name is Mohammad Marria. I'm the CEO of Just Wills. It's a UAE-based company. I've been here for the last 20 years, and our speciality is wills, probate, and inheritance. And this is something I enjoy doing. I feel like it's more of a passion than work for me. And I've been educating expats on the importance of this subject for the last 20 years. And recently, we are now introducing foundations within the UAE as well.
Super. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation, Mohammed. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Alexander Fitzner. I'm head of the private client department of Whitehall & Company. This is a Dubai-based corporate service provider, accountant company, tax advisor, and since the latest future, also a provider of private client services. This department is headed by myself. I'm dual qualified lawyer in Switzerland and Germany, resident part of the time in Switzerland, in the practice since over 15 years now, with expanding the work here to the UAE, introducing and educating on private foundations, trusts, as supplemental tool to all the other tools here in the region, as well as to the will as typical tool for succession planning. And I'm very happy to be here and have this exchange today with you.
Thank you very much. So just give me an idea, how does foundations work in Europe? I mean, let's take a commonly asked question. If you're transferring properties into a foundation, what is the land department fees? Is it a gift rate or standard rate?
This depends on the jurisdiction where the property is located. There is no specific transfer fee regarding from the foundation side. In certain jurisdictions, this whole topic may not only be subject to the transfer fees regarding the transfer act of the property itself, but also subject to inheritance tax,
yes,
or gift taxes, of course. So it's difficult to say. As you know, in Europe, we have a spreaded system of private foundations, and with the each property laws in Europe related to this. So it depends on the case. And I'm sorry to start with this classical phrase of a lawyer that it depends on the case.
Yes. I think what it is, it's usually, I mean, Europe having so many countries, every country is different. So I'm sure each country will have their own transfer fee when it comes to the properties you transfer into a foundation then.
Yeah, that's totally right. So, for example, I have in mind not only the federal transfer fees in certain countries, like in Germany or in Switzerland, but also you have then state-wise transfer fees.
Right.
So you have a very sophisticated system with minor fees. I'm not quite aware how extensive this fee topic is here, but I know there are transfer fees. It would be very interesting to know how this works when it comes to wills.
You know, the transfer fee in the UAE is at the gift rate. So if you buy a property, the standard fee or transfer fee is 4% on the market value. But if you transfer into a foundation and you're the owner of the property and the owner of the foundation, then it will be at the gift rate, 0.125%. So for every 1 million dirham worth of real estate, you pay 1,250 dirham transfer fees, which tells you truth, it's peanuts. So here there is a gift rate, and that's why when it comes to transferring between spouses or from a gift from parent to child, or you're transferring at to the foundation, 0.125%. But if you're transferring from brother to brother or cousin to uncle, then it's the 4%. So here, I believe the transfer fee is very straightforward. You do an evaluation of the property first. So the government will determine the true value of the property, not a real estate company come and say it's worth 1 million. No. The government will determine the value, and then based on the valuation, you pay the transfer fee. and it's just a one-off payment.
Mm.
And as you know, there's no inheritance tax in the UAE. So that's why the UAE has become a very favorable destination. People invest in here. But as you know, if you're a European or you have a European passport, what you pay in your home country it's a different matter. And I'm sure you know some countries have global taxation. So when it comes to taxes, even I tell people, get independent tax advice, because I cannot comment the tax laws in your country. But in the UAE, you have 5% VAT, 9% corporation tax, and then the transfer fee at the 0.125%. That's off today. Tomorrow I cannot say anything. Yeah. But inheritance tax, there is none here. But I've had cases where people passed away. So I had a client from Denmark. He passed away. And even though we had the Emirates ID card, we had utility bills, a trade license, bank statements, he had all that information, but the home country taxed him here as well. It went to the High Court, and the High Court said, sorry, we're going to tax him here as well. So taxes, I can't help you. I tell people take independent tax advice. But when it comes to the land department fees, I'm happy to say to you, it is at the gift rate, 0.125%.
Oh, that's interesting. I think this is a key distinction to the European countries.
Correct.
Where exactly the land department fee is not subject to any relation within the families. And everything is regulated via the tax rates, where you have the beneficial tax rates, of course, within the family, depending how close, spouses and children. But then another threshold for uncles, brothers, and parents, for example. So this is a quite different approach, and I'm surprised to hear this that it's done here on the governmental fee and not on the tax side.
That's correct. Like I said, because there's no taxes, that's why they charge the gift rate. However, you need the attested marriage certificate if you're giving from husband to wife, or if you're gifting from father to child, you need the birth certificate fully attested, which means, let's say he was born in Germany, you need to get the birth certificate or the marriage certificate attested from the UAE embassy, translated, stamped by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Arabic translation, and Ministry of Justice. So there is a process. It will take you about 6 to 8 weeks to complete. That's why I tell everyone, if you're owning property here, get the attestations done in advance, so that when it comes to transfer, the process is easier.
I think this is good family governance advice, to have always a complete package of the relevant documentation of your family, also including then your assets, if it comes to the topics for which we are here, the succession planning.
Correct.
To have everything in place and at hand, or at least have a quick or smooth access to it. We all know from the daily advice the situations where documents are missing, being this for the simple opening of a bank account, and not speaking here about the situation when it's an inheritance case, which leads to major difficulties in the asset tracing and then on the release of assets, as we know from the practice.
Correct. I couldn't agree better. This is why we're working on a folder called the DEF folder. And this folder is a folder I recommend everyone should keep. So you have your marriage certificate, children's birth certificates, title deed, trade license copy, bank statements, even the registration document for your car, any beneficiary forms you've completed, just basically a history of everything you own, and a roadmap which you put into one folder, so that when you're dealing with the loss of a loved one, your next of kin, say your spouse, will have all the information. And this is what we try to tell people: get this document ready or get this folder ready today. And included within the folders, the copy of the will, a power of attorney, and now I'm even telling people take out life insurance, and even having bank accounts for every beneficiary, whether it's locally and or internationally. And why am I recommending life insurance? Because regardless what the tax advisors may tell you, inheritance tax, if you're holding a European passport, you will have to pay for it either today or tomorrow. So I just tell people, would you want your hard-earned money being used to pay the tax man, or you want to take out life insurance, which is peanuts to set up? So people buy the concept of life insurance from me. And now there's another concept, I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's called jumbo life insurance. So jumbo is concentrating on the high net worth individuals. So it starts off from a minimum $5 million or euros. So how it works is you take out this life insurance policy, it's written into trust, and this money can be used to clear any inheritance tax, cross-border legal fees, lawyer fees as well, clearing your debts and liabilities, and you can use this for children's education and anything to do for your family tomorrow. Funny thing is I don't sell life insurance. So people think, wow, you are talking so compassionately about life insurance. Are you selling it? I said, no. We enter wills, probate, and inheritance. But for me, succession and financial planning goes hand in hand. So having all that information together, you put it in that folder, the death folder, so that when you're no more, your family knows what to do, who to contact. Now, you know very well when people are having assets in different jurisdictions, relationship managers in different banks, you need to have all this information put together so that somebody can get the details, make the phone call, and speak to the right person. So for me, that folder is very important, and the folder includes the will. So the will is more of a roadmap. Where's your money going? And I know in Europe they have forced heirship, which means the estate is usually divided 50% to the spouse, 50% to the children. You might have discretion over 20, 25% in some countries. However, you cannot will everything to your wife because your children are legal heirs. And you can't will everything to your children because your spouse is a legal heir. In the UAE, you can will your money to anyone you like. The courts there's no forced heirship in the UAE. But if you pass away with no will, then the law of the land will apply, which may not be in line with your wishes.
Yes, you're totally right. When I remember the university times and the inheritance law topics, exactly this came up, the forced heirship and doing the family trees and calculating out the quotas for everything. Also with the folder, which is a very nice concept, calling it death folder is very relevant. I know a tax advisor in Spain with German origin as well. He's calling a similar thing. He does webinars, and he does live events for people to do your death as a trial. And they discuss, but they mainly discuss in Europe then the tax topics, not these relevant topics to collect and document properly your assets, your situation, your financial framework. This is something which is totally underestimated, at least in Europe at the time being.
I think it's globally, if you don't mind me saying. I mean, if you look at the UK alone, I was reading the stats that they have over 15 billion pounds, not million, billion, sitting in banks unclaimed. Now, you may not know this, but in the UK, if you don't make a will, your family will pay 40% tax. But if you don't claim the money in 5 years, it goes to the government.
No.
So making the list of assets is very important. And I know, sorry to say this, that many people have trust issues with their family. I understand it. I respect that when people tell me, look, I don't trust my children because if they found out how much money I have, they won't take anything seriously. They'll probably think, okay, let me enjoy myself. When my father's no more, I'll get all the money. So even the father tells me, I'm not giving the information to my children because they can misuse it. That's why you have the foundations and the trusts to factor all of that in. But like I keep telling everyone, you cannot guarantee everything is in your personal name at the time of your death. So parallel to the foundation or the trust, you need to have a will as well. And like I was talking to you earlier, guardianship for your children, this is something very underrated. People don't think. I think, if you don't mind me saying, people living in the UAE, everyone's coming from a multicultural background. So you could be passport holder A and your spouse is passport holder B. Or it could be your religion 1, your spouse's religion 2. Whatever it is. That's why when it comes to children, I tell people you need to factor this in. And that's why you need a will. Unfortunately, people are only worried about their money. I'm not saying it's not important. So foundation and trusts, it's important, but I always tell people still need to make a will, if not for the forced heirship, because the law of the land will apply, but at least who will take custody of your children in the case of, God forbid, both parents passing away.
You're totally right, and I cannot agree more. All these tools, being this the will, being this a foundation or a trust, they are complementary to each other. So you cannot do, or in very seldom cases, you can do one without the other.
Correct.
Especially the guardianship topic, totally underrated. You pointed it out, very, very precise with these multi-jurisdictional cases we have here as the standard in the UAE. And if I would consider what happens, me being counsel of a foundation or trustee of a trust, I could assist with the assets. And I'm very happy in the situation to assist with the assets. But guardianship for a minor, this is totally out of the scope of our work.
Of course.
And we don't have the knowledge of the family in this detail, at least not when it comes to the children. We may assist on other sides by giving a long-term perspective for the wealth of the family. We may assist in helping to educate by setting special terms in a trust deed, in a letter of wishes, or in bylaws of a foundation, guaranteeing distributions only after certain events like the passing of a university exam. So to ensure that these kids which come from the ultra high net worth families do not come into a wrong direction, and they will try at least to produce an own career, stand on their own foot, and just know that the structure and the family wealth in the back is a kind of parachute, but it's not a standard what they can wait for until the parents have gone.
Agreed. But sorry to say, people tend to learn the hard way.
Yep.
That's why I get busy when people pass away. I don't want people to learn the hard way. This is why I try to educate them in advance. Get this done, get that done, get that done. But people don't listen. I mean, I had a case where the wife came into my office and her husband passed away, and she bought a HSBC debit card and said to me, "Can you check the balance?" And I looked at her and said, "You've got the card. Check it yourself." She said, "My husband never gave me the PIN number." I said, "You've been married for 15 years. And you don't know the PIN number of your husband's debit card?" And her answer was, he was a very private individual. And I'm thinking, how private can you be? That you're not even sharing this basic information. But this is the world we live in at the moment.
Yeah,
So making a list, writing everything down is important. So just tell me, I mean, in Europe, what is your definition of a foundation versus a trust? I mean, this is something many people ask me. I have I have my interpretation. I'd like to hear from you. What is your interpretation?
I will try to refrain from
please.
the definitions from the law books,
Please.
from the common law.
We try to keep it very simple, yeah.
So I promise not to name any law wherever I can. When you compare the foundation with a trust, I think the key element of distinction is the legal personality. So the foundation itself is a legal body. It can sue and it can be sued. Whereas when you talk in the trust situation, it's always the trustee or the private trust company or whatever you use as trustee will be the one who is holding assets only under trust. So there you have this distinction between the economic and legal ownership.
So you're talking about the real owner and the trustee then.
Right. And in the foundation, it's very clear with the contribution of assets into the foundation becomes real and legal owner of the assets under.
Very similar to what I say to people.
Yep.
I just say, look, trustees, you appoint an external trustee to do all the work. So you have to get permission and pay him. And he has a right of refusal.
Yep.
Foundation, it's split into three parts. You have the owner, the council member, and the beneficiary. And they tend to be the same person. However, you need additional council members and beneficiaries. However, the founder runs the foundation. So he doesn't report to any third party. However, he's got to have a second council member. So let's say husband and wife, for example, owns the foundation. They're the council members, so they run the show, and the children are the beneficiaries. That is how the foundation works here in the UAE. But like I said, the advantage here is the fact that the transfer fee is at the gift rate.
Yep.
But for me, let's take an example for the local people here. Forced heirship will be applicable. So for the GCC nationals, forced heirship is applicable. I cannot change it. Same thing with the European. You cannot change the forced heirship. So it depends on your situation. But for me, what I like about the foundation, there's no probate.
That's totally correct. And in addition, if you set the foundation early enough in your family, not succession planning, but in the overall family governance planning, you do so during the time when you are still very active, of younger age, and any periods which might to be considered upon your death will then pass by, so that the assets in the foundation will not form part of the estate.
Correct.
And therefore the rules of the forced heirship, which are still in place, do not affect the foundation.
Correct.
Of course, here in the UAE, where religion is a more relevant topic than it is in Europe, people are closer to their religion than probably the Europeans are. But this is not an issue, because in bylaws of a foundation, for example, you can easily reflect the regulations which are given by the Sharia laws.
Correct.
And you can implement this as well. And in the second step, of course, the Foundation Council might be advised to maintain the asset management also in compliance with Sharia. So there is full flexibility.
Correct.
I see
There is.
for every kind of founder of a foundation or future beneficiary.
No, you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, for the Emiratis or the GCC nationals, the Sharia will become applicable, and it means the estate will be divided within the family. You know, the biggest challenge I've faced when it comes to dealing with Sharia law in terms of the distributions, how do you divide a business? Okay, if you've got cash in the bank, it's easy. You've got, say, 100,000 euros. These are the legalese. You apply a mathematical formula. Each person takes X. But when it comes to a business, how are you going to divide the business? That's what I tell people. The foundation is the solution. Or you make a will. But for the case of the GCC national, they can't make a will. According to Islamic law, you're only allowed up to 1/3. You only can make a will of up to 1/3, and that cannot go back to a legal heir. So if you look at the spouse, she takes 12.5%, for example. Yep. But you can't give her the 1/3. Only the 12.5 she takes. So the 1/3 will go to a non-legal heir. So say your cousin, let's say maybe it's your uncle, for example, or charity. You can do some charitable work. Then you can put that into the will. But for the expat, non-GCC, regardless of the religion, they can make a will and register the will in the court. So if you're a German Muslim, or if you are an American Muslim or an Indian Muslim, you can register the will in the court 100% and give it to whomever you like. So there's no Sharia. You have full control. But for the GCC national, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. That's why the foundation is good for them. But another reason why I recommend the foundation is because even if you have a will and you have a business, you may not know this, but they do freeze the company bank accounts as well. So if you've got a business and it needs to continue, as a business, it needs to keep trading. It cannot trade without a blocked bank account. That's why I say the foundation is a solution, not the solution. It's a solution to have the have your assets in the foundation, so there is no interruption in the business, and especially if you're trying to protect a trademark. Because if you have a will and you're giving the estate to XYZ, then what happens to your business, the trademark that you work so hard? The legalists can get together and say, we don't want the business, sell it, and then we take the cash equivalent. But if you say, no, I want this business to continue, the foundation is the solution then.
You're totally right on this. It's about the continuation of the legacy.
Correct.
I heard in the practice about the cases where corporate bank accounts have been frozen.
Yes.
Where the business stood still, and you know it better than me. How quick employment law hits in when salaries are not paid and all this stuff. So you set not only your own financial or aspects on risk if you do not do a proper planning, but also for your employees. For them, you should take care as well. And there I see the foundation is a good tool to assist here. Because we know from the practice in Germany, for example, there are worldwide acting entities like Bosch, the producer of everything, which is now a foundation.
German reliability, especially when it comes to the power tools, like Bosch now, for example, like you mentioned. Yes, I agree.
The construction tools from Liechtenstein, Hilti, which is a trust rack, which I accidentally know. A trust rack is a combination of a trust and a foundation.
Of course.
But not our topic today. It's a very specific Liechtenstein thing, but it's in a structure as well. Or as a Swiss example, we all love our watches. The whole Rolex company, you will not find published accounts of Rolex and financial statements because it's 100% held by a foundation, which is now a charitable foundation to the benefit of the city of Geneva. And I think Geneva is very happy with this foundation.
Of course. Now, this is succession planning. And like I tell everyone, it's got to be done in advance. Yeah. So this is why, like I said earlier, I get busy when people pass away because everyone wake up and realize that they've been living here for so many years. They've got no protection. And, the UAE is not the only country in the world that freezes bank accounts. You go to France, Germany, Italy, Spain, they freeze joint accounts as well. So this is why I tell a lot of my clients, especially European, that keep single accounts as well as your joint. Keep life insurance to cover the inheritance tax, if any. Have the will. And something more important, which we should talk about, is the power of attorney as well. I mean, this is something I recommend to everyone in the UAE. But I know in Europe, you might have a medical power of attorney, or you can have the power of attorney set up for it to become conditional. But in the UAE, there is no conditional power of attorney. It's unconditional. And the power of attorney is mainly for financial matters. So have you had any cases or of any systems in Europe that have conditional power of attorney?
This is a very standard in the European countries, but not for the financial side, more for the medical side, very clear. Also, it works for the financial side as well. But all under the condition. Is it two
separate power of attorneys?
No,
combined?
You can do this combined.
Good,
but the key issue and the key problem which normally comes up then is the power of attorney valid? Who determines whether the person who granted the power of attorney is now incapacitated or not, or was already incapacitated at the moment when the power of attorney was signed. Therefore, in certain countries, such need to be notarized.
You see, for me, I mean, I'm talking about the UAE. First of all the power of attorneys have to be notarized in the court, number one. So when the court is notarized in your power of attorney, they will have a video call or you go in person, so they know you're sane. Number one. Number two, I realize they do tell people, do you know what you're doing? You're making a power of attorney. It can be misused and so forth. But for me, the main point is that the power of attorney is valid for life in the UAE. So they've got a QR code on the power of attorney. And whenever you take this power of attorney to any government department, they scan the QR code to make sure it is still valid.
May it be revoked?
Anytime.
Okay.
So if you try to use a power of attorney and they scan the QR code and found that it has been cancelled, they'll take the power of attorney back from you and probably give you a warning that you shouldn't be using the power of attorney. I mean, you can say, I never knew, but the courts here are so strict that when they issue the power of attorney, the attorney gets a message that you are the attorney for XYZ.
Yep.
And furthermore, when they cancel it, they'll send you a notification as well. So the power of attorney is registered in a court, it's valid forever, and you can cancel it anytime. But like I said, this is only for financial matters, not medical. So I know like in the UK, they have the lasting power of attorney, and you can have a combined medical and financial matter, and the power of attorney can be enforced if it's conditional by supplying 2 letters from independent doctors to confirm that the person is incapacitated, then the power of attorney becomes effective.
Yep.
But in the UAE, it's unconditional. So sometimes people do hesitate to making the power of attorney because they're scared it can be misused tomorrow. And let's face it, a power of attorney, I tell everyone, it is a double-edged sword. It can be used and misused. If you're not happy with the attorney, then cancel it.
Yeah, it's again a matter of trust.
Yes.
And finding these, being this now trusted persons, or when it comes to the professional side, being this the trusted advisors, is very hard. And I think also for us working in this environment, it's always a challenge to build the trust. To show it via professionalism, empathy, that we are capable to do such things. And these are elements of everything. And same applies when it comes to the setup of a foundation.
Correct.
It's not done by like opening quickly a bank account or opening quickly a little LLC or something like this. For me, this is a process which must be well considered, although it goes very quick on the register side when everything is finished. But the process to establish the whole concept is maybe in seldom cases limited only to 1 or 2 properties going in. I prefer the cases where you can go more complex and start with your dev folder, review first the whole assets which may be in the foundation. They must not go in completely, but we also may select the properties here in the UAE might be worth bringing them in. The bank accounts abroad might be worth bringing them in. The personal accounts, we leave them out. So this distinction, or the cars can go out.
If you don't mind me saying,
Yes.
the KYC for the foundation is not simple. No. And I know some banking institutions may reject allowing the account to be held by the foundation. So for me, the foundation is mainly covering the assets in the UAE, number one. It can hold assets outside, but then you got to pay the land department fees again at the full market value or market rate. And I know countries like the UK will charge a premium if you put it in an offshore entity. Yeah. So you got to be careful, and I tell this to people, that when it comes to third-party government fees, it's nothing I can do. It's nothing to do with the foundation. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to Spain and telling them you want to transfer this property into a UA foundation, it's up to the land department will they accept it. Yeah. And if they do accept it, what is the land department fee? They might even charge a premium because you're taking it outside the country of Spain, and they might look at it negatively, that why are you moving the ownership outside? But like I keep telling everyone, every country has their own policy.
This is then also only the second step. The first is, will the local or the UAE foundation, will it qualify and accepted into the land register in Spain or anywhere else. Recently, we were discussing a client situation with a big real estate portfolio abroad, spread it over Europe. Some real estate here, the family coming from Southeast Asia. In the end, we decided we will not set up only one foundation. We went with two.
Okay.
One of them located in the Principality of Liechtenstein, and the second one for local property here. As you know, property in a foundation here works even better. It's really one of the unique selling points from my perspective, of the UAE foundations. And for the European and worldwide real estates, we decided to go the route with Liechtenstein. In Liechtenstein, they do the foundation business since now almost 100 years.
Tried and tested.
Yeah, it's so waterproof. We can do this blind. And not blind. This is
no, I think it's a tried and tested system. You know, funny enough, people ask me about the UA foundations. They ask me, "Have you tested it yet?" I said, "I'm waiting for someone to pass away." It's like 20 years ago when I came here, there was no will registry system. So I came here 2005. Dubai courts opened their doors in 2012. We registered the first will in Dubai courts in 2012. Excuse me. Somebody asked me, "Does it work?" I said, "Look, I'm waiting for someone to die. Then I can test it." So, you know, we've now executed many cases. But when it comes to the foundation, I tell people I'm waiting.
Exactly the same. But I see this as a big opportunity. The foundation laws here are structured similar to the European ones.
Correct.
Coming, I think, from Jersey, if I'm not wrong.
You're right. All under common law.
Yeah. But if you have a closer look in it, the use cases are not fully evaluated now and not fully developed. And this is where we, with our practice, see the niche for our business. We bring the European foundation knowledge, which for me personally is now over these 15 years of experience, doing nothing else than Liechtenstein foundations with a major part of my time. And we bring this now here. The law is very wide. There are no court cases actually existing now. So we have a green field with development.
Yeah.
And if we do this properly, and I think if you set the foundation on good grounds and you are able to document all the decisions, why you structure this like this, why you use this clause and this rule in the foundation, I'm confident that courts will follow these, because it's nothing new invented. It's just brought from Europe to here, and is an ideal complement. It's an ideal addition to the foundation law here, with the knowledge from abroad. And so we see this as a big chance for our business.
Of course.
Earlier you mentioned the entrepreneurs, the Europeans, all the expats. Now from the tax perspective, this are the simplest clients. When they are here, normally if there is not an exit tax in their home countries, you can structure them very freely. No gift tax, no inheritance tax issues, no transfer taxes for liquid assets, at least not. And so you can set up then a proper thing before they might go back in 5 to 10 years in their home countries. And if you do a good re-immigration planning, then these persons might have advantages and tax benefits in the end then as well. Normally you hear this only when someone intends to go to the US, that pre-immigration planning has to be done. But for all expats here, I think the same applies during their term here. If they can assume to be here 5 to 10 years, then they should start immediately once they are here.
Of course. No, it's very interesting because we have similar views when it comes to this particular matter. So, I mean, I know we also looked, we can speak about the Waqf.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the term? Or
I learned it here.
Okay.
And let me try to summarize it.
Please.
In the end, it's the Islamic solution of a kind of trust where, in the event of the death, one of the elder family members will take the responsibility as trustee and has to take care as a trustee for the assets of the family. Earlier, you mentioned that businesses cannot be split up so easily. I think this is tried to be covered very good with the Waqf concept, because the eldest family member, or the one who will then be this trustee, takes the responsibility and has to check that the shares are distributed equally or payments equally done. I think there's also a supervision by the government, and Waqf has to be registered.
Yes. I see the Waqf is more like, you're right, it's for Islamic purposes, like an endowment. Only the government controls it. So there isn't like a private Waqf setup service. It's all done via the government. And it's usually you're dealing with high-profile people or people having multiple assets and so forth. That's why I would say for the average, I won't say average, but in terms of somebody having estate, then probably the foundation is also a solution, because when you appoint the council members, you just give them instructions on how to manage the estate and to make any charitable donations, so that the charity is ongoing even after the principal has passed away.
Especially, I have one actual recent case in mind from, I think it was Geneva in Switzerland, where an Islamic family tried to use the concept of the Waqf in the succession planning in Switzerland with assets in Switzerland. This unfortunately went totally wrong, because the concept was disregarded at Swiss courts, and so the forced heirship applied. Inheritance taxes applied. It was one of the cantons where inheritance taxes leave, and so this is for me, because I had very interesting and intensive talks with advisors here. Of course, they do not promote, but they use what they know, and this is totally correct for the region here. But everyone must consider assets are more diversified than 50 years ago,
correct,
or even 30 years ago,
correct.
And the concept will not work in the international framework. And this is then again where the foundation is a good solution, or a trust might be a very good solution, not instead of, but as addition to the existing structure, which regulates the succession planning here in the region. And for the international side, the other kind of structures can work out. We can then decide whether this is a private foundation, or whether this is, when it's more in the common law region, whether the trust is the more applicable instrument.
No, that is true. I think as we say, horses for courses.
Yep.
At the end of the day, everyone has a different reason for what they need to do. But I think we both can agree that regardless of all these holding entities like the trust or the foundation, at the end of the day, all the assets, you cannot guarantee it will be in the name of the foundation tomorrow. That's why you need to have a personal will and the power of attorney to safeguard your personal assets in your personal name. And for me, more important is the guardianship of your children.
Guardianship is a real special topic, and I totally agree with you. When it comes to wills or foundations, asking clients to do the decision immediately, sometimes this does not work due to the emotional and psychological reasons. So what we did in the European side, and I think this is feasible here as well, is starting with a will.
Correct.
The person who makes the will is still owner of his assets, has full control over it,
does
not have to have the fear that assets are not in his ownership anymore. He does not lose control.
Correct.
But then one of the beneficiaries of the will may then be a foundation, which will then hit in and step in to take the generational shift, or the supervision of the family governance in the future. Other clients, which are more relaxed, but these are then more or less sometimes also tax-driven aspects, decide to do the foundation before and start with the foundation as their key tool, and add it up with wills, life insurances,
of course,
and stuff like this. What we see is, and someone looked at me very surprised, because I recommended, when we set a foundation, okay, the foundation will now make a life insurance on your life.
Yes.
He was asking me, why are you,
Yeah.
are you kidding? We doing foundation now. I said, no. You have properties. There will be a tax
IHT,
anyway.
Yes.
And we do not go the risk. I want to have liquidity in the case that you pass away.
No, that is true. Like I've been telling this for people many years, that, and especially you may not know this, but in the UAE, all debts and liabilities have to be settled first. That's why they freeze your bank accounts. So you've got a car loan, settle it. If you've got a mortgage, it needs to be paid. You have a credit card, it needs to be settled. This is why they freeze everything, so that post-death, debts and liabilities need to be settled first. Then, as per the will, the net assets will go to the beneficiaries. And I know we spoke about guardianship, but something is very should bring to your attention: the importance of a temporary guardian or interim versus the permanent. I mean, do you have this issue in Europe when people are not Europeans, maybe expats from a different part of the world living there? Do you factor in guardianship, interim and permanent when you're drafting the wills?
No, this is not key element of our practice there.
Okay.
As you already mentioned it, the guardianship is a topic which people forget. And if this happens, you have the rules which are given by the governments, and with all the consequences being these positive or negative.
Mainly negative.
But I think the relevance is not so high than it is here, simply due to the fact that there is not such an international community living.
Yes. Yeah. Here I just feel like, because it's very multicultural. I mean, I've drafted wills for nationalities. I had to look up their country on the world map because I heard of the country, but I didn't know where it was. But when I dealing with the nationalities, oh my God, even these people are, this passport holder is living here as well. I mean, you know, Namibia and South Africa. I had to look that up. The first time I heard the country, Namibia, this is going back in 2008 or 9. So I had to look it up. Where's Namibia? And then realized it's a very small country near South Africa.
Yep.
So I even drafted a will for a national from there then. So I just start then. Well, thank you very much for joining this interaction between myself and Alex. I hope you found this topic very interesting. Like I said, I just specialize in wills, probate, inheritance, and trying to have this death folder, trying to help people put one in place, telling them or giving them the key points, what they need to put in. Like I said, I don't sell life insurance, but I recommend everyone to take it out and make sure the life insurance is written into trust. Otherwise, you get taxed on the life insurance if it's not completed. Have your marriage and children birth certificates all attested, translated into Arabic. Complete any beneficiary form. Have the will notarized in the court. Have the power of attorney. And can I just point, every country has their own specific format. So when I'm talking about power of attorney, I'm talking about for the UAE. But if you're from a different country, make a power of attorney and register it there. So don't think a UAE power of attorney will work in Germany or a German power of attorney will work in Italy. Every country has their own language and their own system. So make sure you register the power of attorney in each and every country. For me, I would say more important, make a list of assets, write everything down, share the information. I understand there could be some trust issues. You don't want to give the transparency to your family. Maybe you're divorced, you just remarried and you're hesitating. Should I tell the second wife where the estate is? Tell someone. Give a roadmap to your family. Prepare the folder. Give it to someone so that someone can locate the estate and have all the paperwork in order. Thank you very much for joining this session.
Thank you very much to the audience for taking the time and listening to our conversation. And big thank you to you, Mohammad, for inviting me and giving me the opportunity. The private foundation here in the UAE is now a growing thing. It's an opportunity for all of you, whether you are expats, whether you are coming from the local sites, consider the framework you have here. You are in a quite free, flexible environment and have a planning tool at hand, which will help you not only in case of succession planning, where you need to combine it with other tools like, said, the life insurance or especially the will and the guardianship. All four of them, foundation, will, guardianship, and life insurance, are powerful tools. But think about the foundation as something which you can install already before to organize not only your succession, but the legacy of your family during the time you can have influence on it. Business continuation is guaranteed with a foundation acting as a holding company, for example. Properties can be held directly in the foundation here in the UAE. And finally, if you need to seek advice for international setups, the end might not be a UAE foundation, but probably one of the internationals. So I'm very happy if you find the time and give us a call if you have any questions and come back to us. But at this point, thank you very much for this interesting talk.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming.